Are there any objections to such a decision at this stage? I see none, so we shall pass it on. The motion to ban the mutilation of children was unanimously referred to the Committee on Health and the Committee on Justice and Human Rights for further action. It concerns a bill proposed by the Ordo Iuris Institute for Legal Culture Foundation to prevent surgical and medical procedures leading to the acquisition of opposite-sex characteristics in a minor, a partially or totally incapacitated person, a person diagnosed with a neurodevelopmental disorder, disease, or mental disorder. It is also a response to the current lack of regulation in this area in the Polish legal system. We have regulations that talk about the necessity of consenting to a medical procedure, but at the same time, we have provisions of the penal code that indicate criminal liability for anyone who commits grievous bodily harm. As is often the case with such procedures, no one is held responsible for depriving a person of the ability to reproduce. And this is precisely the effect of so-called transition, gender reassignment, or mutilation. The law is there to protect minors, argue its authors. Members of the December 13th coalition disagree. What you have proposed is contrary to the protection of children, because it does not take into account the fact that the child should be supported. A minor's decision is not fully autonomous when it comes to gender affirmation. I think 15, 16 years old, when quietly on their own, such a person, if they can give consent to sexual intercourse, they also know very well what sex they are. Politicians should not talk about this issue and decide who should be who. It is up to each of us to decide, even a child. The problem is, children easily succumb to pressures and trends, even dangerous ones. Publicists talk about ideology. Yes, it must be legislated. Yes, it needs to be done. And it needs to be done as soon as possible, because this whole ideology of wokeism is invading Poland, and we won't be able to defend ourselves against it if we don't have the tools to do so. A sad testimony to the mutilation of children in this way is the story of one of the richest people in the world, Elon Musk, and his son, who was given hormone blockers. He stated that his child had been sterilized through this, which they did not know would happen, and he had downright lost his child through this kind of child abuse. And Ordo Iuris, in its justification, talks about the dangers of transition. According to a number of studies, the likelihood of suicide increases not as a result of being denied transition, but once you have transitioned. It also causes serious mental health problems. From a medical point of view, gender reassignment is not really possible because the genetic information of our sex is written in every cell. For example, if we leave the gonads or genital organs and administer hormones typical of the opposite sex, the risk of cancer increases. There are two sexes, and the sex we are born with is the one we have. Everything else is a disorder to be treated. This is absolutely the right direction. I would support something like this. Children, especially underaged and handicapped children, cannot express their objection or consent to this type of experiment, and I am certain that this is a medical experiment. This is a step in the right direction. The Polish people concur. Prohibition, yes, if there is such a possibility, so that there are no such issues, such changes. Ban, yes, I am in favor of a ban. Let's not introduce change to something that has always been normal, yes. That's how nature created us, and let's not interfere with it. Human beings are born to be who they are, not for people to change. A ban on the mutilation of children has already been introduced in the United States, including Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, and Arizona. In Poland, the procedure of so-called gender reassignment is permitted and takes place through the courts. Soon, minors may be safe if parliamentarians focus on their well-being rather than ideology. Daniel Śmieciński, TV Republika.